I'm Leah Lane, an award-winning travel writer and author of Places I Remember, Tales, Truths, Delights from 100 Countries. On this podcast, we share conversations with travelers about fascinating destinations and memorable experiences around the world. Barcelona, Spain's second largest city and the biggest city on the Mediterranean, is the cosmopolitan capital of Spain's Catalonia region. It's a mix of historic charm and modern innovation, and at times, tourists outnumber the local residents. In fact, Barcelona is the 9th most visited city in the world. In Barcelona, both Spanish and Catalan are the distinct official languages. I visited there maybe a dozen times, often at the start of a cruise, as many cruise lines use Barcelona as a major port. The city was founded by Romans who set up a colony called Barcino at the end of the 1st century BC. The colony had about 1,000 inhabitants and was bounded by a defensive wall, which you can still see today in the old town. Besides its Roman origins, Barcelona is known for its medieval Gothic Quarter and its role as a major maritime power in the Mediterranean. There's so much to delight travelers and to talk about. Our guest is Angelo Caratanuto, founder of Live Tours. Angelo designs small group tours throughout Europe, exploring and preserving local cultures while engaging in sustainable tourism. And one of his very favorite destinations is Barcelona. Welcome, Angelo, to Places I Remember.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you conduct tours all over Europe. What makes Barcelona stand out among other destinations to you?
Well, that's a great question, Leah. So I'm born and raised in Rome, and the reason why I founded Live Tours in Italy is because Italy is the perfect playground to make people's emotion come to life. When Christine and I were looking to expand our horizon and offer tours outside of Italy, Barcelona was the natural evolvement of that concept because it's sort of a miniature Italy in a way. It offers that same variety of diverse entertainment. So you have beautiful beaches, you have incredible museums, you have spectacular music venues, you have gorgeous architecture of all kinds, from Gothic to ancient Roman to the beautiful Gaudí. And you have day trips outside of Barcelona that are just incredible.
Yeah, I love your definition there because it does have that same spirit, that wonderful, warm and historic spirit. It's a mix, and everybody seems to love Barcelona. It's delightful to talk a little bit more about the details and why it is such. I know it's known for art and architecture. In 1999, it became the only city awarded the prestigious Gold Medal for Architecture by the Royal Institute of British Architects. It has 9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 7 of which are works by Antoni Gaudí. The most famous is the Sagrada Familia Basilica. It's a masterpiece of Catalan modernism architecture, the most famous work that Gaudí made. It took 100 years. It's going to be finished supposedly in 2026, but it took longer to construct than it took the Incas to build Machu Picchu at the top of Peru's mountains. How do you suggest seeing this wonderful site?
What you just stated is incredible because in the past 10 years, since we've been serving tours at Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, I've gone back maybe, 20 times, and it's never been the same. Every time I go and visit, there's a new tower or a new entrance or a new facade for that matter. And the last thing they're really trying to do is create the frontal facade, finish up the 16 towers. They're almost there. And then the frontal facade, which is going to have the beautiful staircase and the square in front of it. But guess what? There is a apartment building right in front of it that they're going to have to move residents out of, tear down, and create what Gaudí's original view of the entrance to the church was. There's long lines. I don't think you can buy tickets on the spot. So you have to pre-book tickets. There's a pretty easy to use website or buy yourself a tour because the amount of content that the Sagrada Familia offers you, both outside and inside, is so spectacular and maybe even on the verge of overwhelming that having somebody just make sense of it and clear your mind on it and make you appreciate the symbolism, the iconic looks of it, or just simply the connection with nature that Gaudí had is crucial. So book a tour or book online a ticket.
I was there recently and you had to book a tour. We did so just to see the next iteration. I've seen it go up, I think maybe now 40 years. I've been back and forth. So it's so exciting. It's a perfect moment. It's about to be finished soon if they can figure out all the stuff with the apartment.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the great works of art of humanity and so much fun. I mean, it's just exuberant. It's hard to describe colors and shapes, a Disney on steroids, but real. It's super. Another great piece by Gaudí is his park, Park Güell. Originally meant to be a luxury housing development, but 2 houses were built there. It was a financial failure, but it has become one of the world's most popular attractions. Tell us about the park.
So yes, that's where there were supposed to be some developments for some luxury houses that would have overlooked the city center and the ocean. Gaudí was commissioned to build this residence. We only have the park left. There is still a school, I think it's an elementary school, and a couple of homes. Colorful mosaic benches. You've got lizard sculptures and all of these houses that kind of really feel out of a fairy tale. And that's because Gaudí had this incredible connection with nature. He would get himself lost as a child and long hikes in the forests where he grew up and created this connection with every element of nature that then he reproduces in his architecture and his curves. Everything reminds you of the flow of nature. Forest, it could be a wave, the twirl of a wind, an animal, it could be the inside of a whale. Incredible capacity of architecture. To be completely honest with you, unreplicated worldwide.
Creative to the max, individual, fabulous, and well worth going to see. I used to go there and it was free. Now you have to get tickets. It's very popular, obviously. A small number are admitted every hour. So you want to book ahead. You can get a pass to visit both the Sagrada Familia and the park. Get 2 of them. You'll save time there. Wonderful buildings of Gaudí all around the city. 2 of the most famous are Casa Batlló. You mentioned that one, and that's my favorite.
Major promenade going north from Plaza de Catalunya, which would be the biggest roundabout in Barcelona at the end of Las Ramblas. Big shopping street nowadays. There is some very beautiful buildings, 2 of which are Gaudí pieces. One is Casa Batlló and one is La Pedrera, or also known as Casa Mila. The most spectacular thing is that there's people living in there. Exactly, that these are actual apartment buildings, parts of which now have become visitable to the public. These were places made for people to live in with proper heating and bedrooms and kitchens and so forth. But it is the case. Casa Batlló's visit now is unique. They have created this very interactive digital visit with a audio video guide. Very well done. It's prime work. And I've been in museums all over the world, and I don't think I've seen anything like that. And with video that shows you characters and furniture reconstruction, the staircase in the center where you are climbing up into an ocean column with all these beautiful blue mosaics and the apartment doors and the natural light coming through. And then at the very top, the terrace. And you're inside the dragon's back, which is the dragon that you see from the street. And it's inside the vertebrae of the dragon, which back in the day was a way to collect the water, the rainwater for the apartment building. So it's just incredible. But when you're done, you climb upward to the terrace. Tickets must be purchased in advance. Casa Batlló sells out very, very quickly.
Absolutely. You can see why the view from the roof, by the way, the terrace is fantastic. You see the whole wonderful layout of Barcelona, which is very interesting, the way it's in squares. The other famous one, Casa Mila or Pedrera, is easily seen from the street. Do stop in front of Pedrera. It's an undulating stone facade. It has wrought iron balconies resembling seaweed. It's just really interesting.
There's 2 reasons why I would suggest to go to Pedrera is because when you get to the terrace of Pedrera, you have an unmatched view of Casa Batlló.
There's other great architecture beyond Gaudí. There's 2 UNESCO sites by a wonderful architect, Luis Domènech Montaner. And one of them I just adore. It's the Palau de la Música Catalana. Tell us about that gorgeous concert hall.
Yeah, it's hands down the most stunning concert hall in the world when you actually enter the main room. Green stained glass, the sculptures, the rich details. We were lucky to be there. They were doing some rehearsals for the evening concerts. And you realize how Montaner wasn't just outrageously designing shapes and sculptures and iconic symbolism and stuff like that. Everything was meant for the greatest acoustic experience. We call it the Opera House of Barcelona, but it's not just used for opera. It's used for any sort of live music of any time, any age, any region, any cultural
Like the
background.
Stones, you can see the Rolling Stones there.
It's exactly
They
right.
need a bigger venue. They need the stadium, but anyway.
But there have been rock bands.
Yeah,
And
the architecture was music to me. The other beautiful building by the same architect, again, built around 1905, 1908, is the Hospital de Sant Pau. It was designed because doctors believe beautiful surroundings help the patients heal faster. So there's gardens and colorful tiles, and it's just beautiful as well. It's less touristed, it's less busy.
It's less touristy because it's also used as a conference hall and for meetings. And believe it or not, it was an active hospital until 2009. So very, very recent. I absolutely adore the fact that healing doesn't just come from medicine or chemistry. It's all these pavilions surrounded by beautiful gardens and interconnected by underground hallways so that you wouldn't get your view outside of your hospital room obstructed and you could see the gardens and you could see the rest of the pavilions freely.
I think that sums up Barcelona. It's like a consciousness of art of all sorts. And that's what makes it so special. Let's go outside a bit. There are some gorgeous parks. Park de Montjuic with its magic fountain. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. Now, you may need a little bike, unless you want to take a taxi ride. From experience, climbing Montjuic with your bike is actually quite interesting and quite fun. The views from there are spectacular. What's fun is that there's a completely different temperature
Really?
between, oh yeah, you bet, between what's happening in Barcelona and what's happening in Montjuic. But it is a way to distract yourself from the city. Leah, Christine and I are so in love with Barcelona, we're thinking about moving our family there. Most of Barcelona is being made pedestrian. The post-industrial revolution quadrants that have been developed to expand the city are being made either bike-friendly or completely pedestrianized. So it's not extremely chaotic unless you're going to the very trafficy promenades or very trafficy roads. But if you want to get out, then you take a bike ride and you go to Montjuic, an oasis. Further out, but I would go to Montserrat, go to the monastery of Montserrat.
Gorgeous views and very interesting mountain, jagged peaks. You get that so close to the city. It's a wonderful day trip or even an afternoon trip. Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. These teeth-like mountains out of which was built the monastery. It is a half a day trip. You could combine it with just around the corner. There's a lot of beautiful vineyards and you could do some cava tasting in the afternoon. My suggestion would be to get Montserrat at its opening before the big tourist buses get there. Get there by 9 so that you can go into the monastery and specifically get into the church to see the Black Mary and walk right under it. And if you're lucky enough, you catch the children's choir singing and practicing before they go to their morning classes.
Goodness, sounds heavenly.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay, let's come back down a bit to the Gothic Quarter. It's a wonderful city center. It's got the Barcelona Cathedral as opposed to the Basilica we have talked about before by Gaudí. And it has famous squares and picturesque streets. It's just fun. There's a walking tour there for tapas. Tapas are the great, everyone knows by now, little bites that started, I believe, in that area, right? In Barcelona area. You can walk around and sample tapas at different little cafes, local wines, fascinating stories. Have you done that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very proud to have tours called Tapas Tour with Flamenco Show. And it happens in the Gothic Quarter. Another Spanish term for it would be ración, small portions.
Rations, right.
Rations. You get pages and pages of menus of different rations. The most popular, which is a piece of bread, semi-toasted, could be an open piece of regular pizza bread, rubbed with olive oil, salt, and tomato, all the way to a beautiful platter of jamon or papas bravas or green peppers or more elaborate croquets or vegetables sauteed or fish sometimes or bread with certain types of delicatessen fish on top. But the Spaniards, Catalonians generally don't do tapas hopping. Sort of the Italian aperitivo or the pub scene for the Brits, right? I'm done with a day's work. I'm going to go get some tapas, have a glass of wine, a beer, a cerveza, or a sangria, and enjoy 2 or 3, 4 bites. What we do in tours is we do tapas hopping because different bars have different histories, different connections, maybe different neighborhoods have different connections with different parts of food. And then we end with a flamenco show, which is not very Barcelonian.
No, but it's beautiful.
But it is beautiful to go
That's part of
watch.
Barcelona. You never know what to expect. So
Exactly.
it's fine. Yeah, and we're talking about food. I would mention paella is very popular because you're, near the sea and you get fresh seafood. That's another specialty. I do want to mention Las Ramblas, which is near the Gothic area. It's the busiest street in Barcelona. It's really 5 boulevards that combined into one long promenade. There's flower stalls and street musicians and living statues. It's touristy, but everybody goes there at some point. I do want to warn about something, the pickpockets. It is true. I have been pickpocketed. And,
Oh,
oh yeah, you do have to watch it. It's part of Barcelona. You can't have
yeah.
perfection, right? Just say be careful there in that area. Isn't the market nearby?
The Vaqueria. Yeah, absolutely. So La Ramblas is this road that goes from the touristic port all the way to Plaza de Catalunya. It's the expansion of the Gothic Quarter that we were just talking about. All of a sudden, this labyrinth of alleyways and Roman ruins and Gothic quarters and municipal squares and hidden courtyards, very Spanish looking quarter, is interrupted by this 2-lane road with a big pedestrian center with coffee shops and restaurants and cafes and street performers and unfortunately pickpocketers. Very trafficy because people use it to hop in and out of the Gothic Quarter and the University Quarter, which is on the other side. But besides a concert hall, a couple of hotels, and all these cafes and restaurants and shoppings, there's the Vaqueria. And the Vaqueria is the market, the main market, the most historical market of Barcelona. You can shop as a Barcelonian, or you can stop at the stands and sample freshly cooked food. Anything from fresh shrimp to a steak, all the way to a paella, as you said, or just bits and pieces of little fried food that you can choose among the various stands. It's nothing like you would find in the US, but it is something to do as you're going through sampling and looking at fresh food and how locals do their shopping. All of a sudden you can sit down and have a proper meal. It's inside a very vibrant market, which gorgeous architecture, great glass windows at the top. It's gorgeous.
I agree. If you want to get away from the crowd, I just want to mention 2 parks that I love. One is in the Elborn district, which is the center. It's the beautiful city park from the World Exhibition of 1888. There are fountains and a zoo and wonderful places to sit. I found this out, which is kind of interesting, that Gustav Eiffel wanted to build the Eiffel Tower in Barcelona for the 1888 exposition, but Spain rejected the plan. It thought that the Eiffel Tower would be aesthetically non-pleasing. So he took his famous landmark to Paris. What do you think about that?
You can't have it all.
No, give Paris something, right? And there's another park I love because it's huge. It's called Thoroughla Park. It's the world's largest metropolitan park. It's approximately 20,000 acres. That's more than 22 times the size of Central Park in New York. And there's many species of animals, hiking trails. It's right in the city, so you don't have to go far to feel nature. I do want to mention the museums. Barcelona was home to famous artists like Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, Joan Miró, and Antoni Gaudí. Picasso spent his formative years studying there, and there's a marvelous museum with over 4,000 of his works. And what I loved about it is you can see his earliest works when he was a child. His father was an art teacher. And when you see 13-year-old Picasso replicating some of the great paintings of the world, and they're beautiful. You can see he could do everything, even as a child. He's so gifted. It's so interesting to visit there. I think the museum scene is special.
Close to the park that we were just mentioning. If you want a little bit less touristy and a little bit more local tapas experience or food experience in general, Elborn is a great neighborhood. Elborn is just as characteristic as of the Gothic Quarter, maybe even more. And so to find the Picasso museums encapsulated and trapped in there it adds to the extra layer of atmosphere, with old stone courtyards and winding staircases and so forth. Yes, it is important to know that you're not going to be seeing the Picasso you may be accustomed to or you may expect him, because these are the formative years. And he was more of a realist at that time, but he was being influenced. And so one of the highlights that people go and see at the Picasso Museum is the La Menina series, which is sort of an honor to It's a take on the painting by Velázquez. And he deconstructs it, about 20 different versions of it. And every version is more abstract and more playful than the previous one. So certainly a unique part of that museum that you're not going to be seeing in any other Picasso museums, because there are many in Spain.
Yeah, you can see the evolution that's beginning there. I want to mention the coastal fishing villages that surround and go all along the coast. You can go and take a 30-minute drive and you're in this wonderful town, Sitges. It's got a promenade along the beach. It's got 17 beaches there, museums. I just love it. It's a cute old town, and just you feel like you're absolutely in the heart of the beach area. Again, so close to Barcelona, and I think it's worth a visit.
Yeah, sorry.
I said, obviously, if you could spend a week in Barcelona, that would be excellent. There's so much. Coast is delightful. And I want to mention some of the festivals. I mean, there are so many. What are your favorites?
Well, first of all, Barcelona is a big party city in general. It's a party city for all ages. Traveling for the festivals is definitely a must-do. It can be very, very crowded. And the biggest events are in the September Festival, which is about a week long, and it's concerts, it's parades. The highlight of it, which happens in the middle of the Gothic Quarter, is what the Catalonians calls the castellers, which is these human-built towers. I'm sure people have seen pictures of. Challenge where people start climbing on each other and try and build the tallest human tower in the square. The entire festival is called La Mercè, and it happens in September. Another one, which is in honor of the patron saint of Barcelona, is St. Jordi's Day, which happens in April. It's sort of like the Catalonian versions of Valentine's Day. But the difference really is that instead of taking out somebody or your second half, your better half, or gifting something, you generally exchange books and roses. And yeah, so the city decks out for St. Jordi, and it fills out with flower stands, book stalls. All the shops sell you a version of the other. It's really unique. Then there's various music festivals. Two that I would recommend are the Primavera Sound and the Sonar Festival. Huge international music festivals. Big names if you're interested in just like Rolling Stones and kind of thing, or up and coming artists. So really, you're going to have 4 or 5 festivals to choose out of, depending on your interest.
Barcelona goes back from Roman times to the moment, for sure. Well, the name of the podcast is Places I Remember. So, Angelo, would you please share a favorite memory of your time spent in Barcelona? And I know there are many.
The very first memory I have of Barcelona is a small little romantic getaway with my later-to-be wife, Christine. And she had bought a weekend in Barcelona for us for my birthday present. I have to humbly admit that I'm a Michael Bublé fan. And and at that time, it was 2014, he was performing there. And so the reason of the trip was to go see Michael live, and she got the best seats possible. But then obviously working in travel and working in tourism, we spent 3 or 4 days deep diving into the experience of being in Barcelona. And we took the bikes from the hotels and we explored everywhere. We took tours. We went to museums. We took a jogging tour in the morning to see the city wake up before the markets open, as streets are still being cleaned. We drank, we partied, we went to gin and tonic bars. It was so refreshing and it was so romantic at the same time that on the flight back, we were so fulfilled, spiritually, mentally, physically fulfilled with our experience. But then that's how also became the very first city we wished to open, and one of the cities we've been wanting, desiring, and wishing to ever move to with our children.
That's wonderful. We can all use being fulfilled, that's for sure. And a city, if it can do that, it's special. Thank you so much, Angelo Caratenuto from Live Tours. You've helped us discover the many delights of a truly great world city, Barcelona, Spain. Thanks.
Thank you for having me, Leah.
Thanks for listening to our award-winning podcast. We've recorded over 100 episodes of Places I Remember, so follow us on any podcast app. And new monthly episodes are also on YouTube with gorgeous video. My book, Places I Remember, is available in print and Kindle, and I read the audio version. Follow my travel writing at Forbes.com. Contact me at the links in the show notes or on my website, placesiremember, lealane.com, and keep making your own travel memories.